السادة الحضور، نجدد الترحيب بكم، الرجاء الدخول إلى القاعة وأخذ أماكنكم استعدادا لبدء المؤتمر الصحفي بعد قليل. شكرا لكم.
السيدات والسادة، نرجو منكم الالتزام بالتالي: التكرم بضبط هواتفكم على الوضع الصامت في حالة الطوارئ لا قدر الله. نرجو اتباع تعليمات موظفي المركز والتوجه بهدوء من المخرجين الجانبيين أو المخرج الرئيسي، وشكراً.
السيدات والسادة، أهلا بكم إلى هذه اللحظة التاريخية التي انتظرها
and a moment that has been awaited for by all of you who are present, and definitely the international and regional markets with a lot of concern and interest, and time is due now to reassure the strength of the Saudi economy and being able to fulfill its obligations, being one of the influential markets on the oil markets, in harmony with the Vision 2030, in service of His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz. May God bless him, and with supervision from his Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This is a historic moment. It is our pleasure to have you participate with us and the whole world to announce the intention of the Aramco Saudi Arabia to have its stocks in the Tadawul, the Saudi financial markets. It is my pleasure to welcome all the officials who are here representing Aramco in this press conference. His Excellency Mr. Yasser Rmayyan, the CEO of Saudi Aramco, and His Excellency Amin al-Nasser, the head of the company and one of his leading executives. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you may now get all the details on this press conference through the QR code and the IPO this is the password, IPO 2019. And you'll be getting all the details through this link. However, it is most important is to hear what is going to be presented to you during this press conference. Without further ado, I invite His Excellency Mr. Mariani to address us in this occasion. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, dear guests, peace be upon all of you. A very good morning to all of you. I wish to thank you for being with us in this historic event, and this is a very important day for the kingdom under its wise leadership, the wisdom of His Majesty Salman bin Abdulaziz and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz and the Minister of Defense. It is my greatest pleasure to announce that Aramco Saudi Arabia has gotten the approval from the financial markets of Saudi Arabia to have its IPOs in the markets and become to have its IPOs in the financial markets to become a threshold of having the company stocks in the markets. And with this process, Aramco, Saudi Aramco would become in the market, in the stocks market, and it would be having a new stockholders in addition to the holder of the majority of its stocks, the government of Saudi Arabia. After a few months of the establishment of the kingdom, that is around 60 years ago, the government gave a franchise for one of the companies that are under the umbrella of Aramco to start the process of digging for oil And this has been the first step towards what we have now as one of the most important companies in the world. And despite all the changes and the many different processes that have been that the company has been through, there was only one thing fixed, unchangeable. That is its perseverance to be a leader. And this perseverance led to this company and making it the biggest energy and petrochemical companies in the world, which runs the business safely, sustainably, and trustworthily. The Saudi Aramco has strong governance and very clear relation with the government and adopts international principles in effectiveness, processing, and financial performance, making it able to fulfill a significant position for its stakeholders. Now, it is becoming timely to have new stakeholders to enhance the company's strength, and we assure you that the company is a tool for us to enhance the position of Saudi Arabia in the world economy and to maintain the sustainable supply of oil. And Saudi Aramco has always been a contributor to the development and prosperity of the kingdom through its tax contributions that are stable and trustworthy, and to create job opportunities and to continue development in the supply chain in the kingdom. Undoubtedly, this IPO of Saudi Aramco is considered a very important step towards the fulfillment of our 2030 vision, and it will contribute to the completion of our initiatives in the national change. And this is an evidence of the importance of our company and our position in the world economy and in the world markets. And we are so happy to reach this historic step which we are witnessing today, which remind us that this was not to be fulfilled except for the grace of God and the group work and perseverance of the staff working in the company and its leadership, represented by the executive leadership and the board of directors of the company. What I would like to reassure you that Saudi Aramco as an IBO would become a source of our pride and a pride for the kingdom. And it is a great honor for me personally to be the head of the council of Aramco in this historic point. And finally, I would like to welcome our new shareholders. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency Yasser Mrayan, and we give the floor now to His Excellency Engineer Amin Nasser. In the name of God, I begin. Dear ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon all of you. Assalamu alaikum and a good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank and appreciate my colleague, His Excellency Yasser Rmayan, the director, for this rather interesting prelude for our event. This is truly a historic event, and the process of having Aramco in the local financial market is really a step ahead. When we were first starting the process of excavating for oil in 1939, our ancestors were keen to have this sector to serve and provide good opportunities for the locals, and then it contributed to enhancing economic development among many other things. Today, the company, in the era of His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz and his Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, it is a new step to create unprecedented opportunities for the nationals and expats to have the right to own a part of the shares of Aramco. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Aramco has a very good international reputation, and it is worthy of it, being the biggest integrated crude oil and gas company, and I'm proud to say that we are the leading company and the most stable in providing oil for the world safely and sustainably. Saudi Aramco has been able to produce one of each 8 barrels internationally, and in 2019 now 13.2 million barrels. And Saudi Aramco is running the management of the reserves of liquids, and this is according to the statistics of last year. And the reserves of oil equivalents 200.4 billion and 185.7 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. And this is an integrated process, and we can provide crude oil through direct sales internationally and locally for entities that are owned for the company by the company or one of its arms, and the ability is 4.9 billion barrels per day, and million, sorry, and then the quality of our assets give us a clear idea about our ability for sustainability and the reduction of carbon. And we are working on the development of technologies that are not confined for refining, but also to eliminate the negative environmental impacts, like the emissions of carbon that leads to global warming. And we have been working along with other companies internationally to come up with solutions in this field. And the financial capabilities of the company are very strong because of its ability to provide capital and to implement acute financial tools. And we have been achieving higher levels of cash flow for operations and have been able to exceed many other companies. Saudi Aramco has the long-term franchise to use the carbon supply in the kingdom, and definitely this is one of our most important and most precious resources, and we are proud to say that our efforts have been working for like 9 decades, and we continue to develop. Dear ladies and gentlemen, our mission is to provide a long-term value for its shareholders despite the fluctuations in oil prices, and to maintain our leadership in the oil supply and gas, and to use all the advantages in the hydrocarbon supplies, and to develop its processes profitably, which would reflect on the distribution of shares. Accordingly, we will be giving profits 570 billion for the current year, and the government would be giving up whenever it's necessary to relent its right of these profits for 5 years, starting from next year, to help the company to be able to distribute for the other shareholders. The company also would be taking this IPO a step towards having a more positive participation in the diversity of our economy. And accordingly, we will always put our efforts to provide income of value to the shareholders, and to the shareholders, the new ones, I mean. Accordingly, we are so optimistic that we will have plenty of resources and plenty of opportunities. And finally, I would like to thank you all for participating with us and to witness with us a new chapter, which is a very important one to the history of our kingdom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
شكرا لسعادة المهندس
Thank
أمين
you,
الناصر.
Your Excellency Engineer Amin al-Nasser. Dear colleagues, journalists, we open the floor for questions and answers transparently, to be responded transparently, and no restrictions as we were promised. Please introduce yourselves before you start with your questions.
سادة فاطمة.
We start with Ms. Fatma.
فاطمة زهرة داوي من قناة العربية. أول سؤال.
Fatma Dawi from Al Arabiya News Channel. My question to His Excellency Yasser Marian. My question to you, after reviewing investors' feedback, how much of foreign currency and investments would you be attracting through the IPO? And the second question to Engineer Amin al-Nasser. I want to hear from you an interpretation of the distributions that you have pledged, which are $75 billion. How can you pay that when you have a lot of responsibilities for SABIC and the General Investment Fund? Yes, thank you.
السؤال الثاني طبعا للمهندس.
The second question is for Engineer Nasser. But the first question about the percentage of foreign investment we are attracting. Currently, I cannot answer your question, but what I can do is to tell you we have started today with the ITF, which is to announce our intention to have an IPO for the company, and in the coming 10 days, we will have the investor education, which will be allocated to the reports from analysts, from global coordinators and global joiners, and then we will be defining the price range of the IPO, and then We will give like 2 weeks, a week for international, regional, and local investors, in addition to the retail branch. And the following week, we will give it to defining the price range of the IPO. After 7 days of that day, we will put our company in Tadawul as an IPO. This is the most information that I have to answer your question. As for question about the 75 billion that has been pledged as profit, our financial position in 2000 is very strong. In 2018, 111 billion were the profits, and the cash flow, the free cash flow is 86 billion. But when we have defined that as a minimum threshold for profit, we have given a certain price for oil, which is very reasonable, and a certain level of production, taking into consideration the world markets. Accordingly, after just calculating these figures, we have determined that we are going to be able to distribute the 75 billion, which will be increasing hopefully in the future. And as for the payments to SABIC, these will be done gradually as we agreed upon with SABIC after defining the profit levels of 2020. Another question? Yes, from Ms. Rania.
Thank you, Rania Gamal from Reuters News. I will ask my questions in English if you don't mind. My question first to Mr. Nasser. We are aware that you have been meeting investors in London and New York over the past week. Can you brief us on the appetite for the investors and give us more details, if you don't mind, about how much are we looking into the local investor appetite versus international investors? And is there any idea about how much do you plan to list? We know that it's 5%, but there have been so many reports about 1%, 2%, 3% is going to be this year, or you're going to continue for next year as well. And my other question to Mr. Romayan, as you are representing the shareholder, as in your position as a chairman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed, have always talked about the valuation for Aramco as a $2 trillion. There have been some media reports suggesting that the demand will be lower than this, and we see 1.5, 1.7. Can you please give us any indication into the valuation of the company?
I mean, if you don't mind, I will start with the second.
Right.
Okay, sure.
And the international listing as well, because now we're talking about Tadawul. Does that mean the international listing has been postponed or shelved?
So that's the third question, right? Do you have any fourth?
I have so many, but
All right.
Thank you so much.
So we will. I mean, it's very similar to what Fatma alluded to in her first question. We really cannot comment on the valuation at this stage. That's the first thing, because we will be breaching all the offering rules and regulations and laws in Saudi. The percentage of investors, international ones versus the domestic ones, it's still yet to be determined after we do the roadshow, the book building, and after that, the price range and fixing the price. For the valuation, again, I really cannot comment for the valuation at this stage, but I think it doesn't really make a lot of sense to get the valuation numbers from unidentified sources that we really don't know anything about from media hubs. The valuation should be determined in the roadshow and the book building exercise.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Also, with regard to, you asked about the percentage, I think that will be done at a later stage when they complete the book buildings for the company. They will decide what percentage will be listed. With regard to our meeting with international investors in London and New York, it was not only London and New York. We met with also a lot of national investors in Riyadh and Jeddah and Dammam and Khobar and different parts of the kingdom. So it was in preparation for the listing. We have been going around within the kingdom and internationally to explain and to answer certain questions about Saudi Aramco. There is a lot of information about the company. Don't forget, this is, in terms of financial performance, this is, you can say it's very strong when it comes to financial performance compared to any company around the world globally. Our profitability, our free cash flow is second to none in terms of performance. We had to explain a lot of things with regard to our strategy going forward. Where is our investment, the growth in gas, the growth in petrochemical, our integration plan, answer a lot of questions regarding the way forward and our performance financially. And I think we shared also a lot of information regarding our performance when it comes to technology, our carbon intensity, what we are doing in terms of tackling climate change, and where does the company fall in comparison with a lot of the companies. What we have done, either here in the Kingdom or in London, New York, we did a lot of comparison and benchmark, not by Aramco, by independent sources that evaluated the company in the different sectors, in relations, financially, and in terms of other things compared to other international oil companies globally.
And for the listing part, currently it's Tadawul. If we're going to consider anything in the future, it's going to be in due course, but nothing right now. It's only Tadawul only listing.
شكرا لكم. ناخذ سؤال إضافي وأتمنى ألا يكون مثل أسئلة الأستاذة رانيا متعددة. سؤال واحد فقط.
We hope that it's not going to be as complicated as Rania's question. We take one from the local journalists. Yes, a question from the الشرق الأوسط, the Middle East News Agency. Yes, my question about the volume of the IPO and then the value of the share itself and the rate, publishing rate and issue rate, sorry. As I have already said, these would be defined during the book building exercise. We cannot give figures now and prices. Thank you.
The lady in the front, you can ask now.
Thank you. Emma Graham from CNBC. Thank you, Your Excellencies. My first question is for CEO Mr. Nasser. Why now? Can you tell me why now was the timing and the right time after such a long delay? And my second question is for His Excellency Al Rumayyan. How are you ensuring investors that Aramco is a safe place for investors to put their money? Thank you.
I think for why now, it is, first of all, I think it's a shareholder decided that would like to, as part of Vision 2030 and to diversify the economy over the long term, and also to strengthen the local market Tadawul in terms of liquidity and to attract national and international investment. Listing Saudi Aramco is a priority. For us as Saudi Aramco, I think we are proud of the listing of Aramco. It will increase our visibility internationally. We are a very strong company by sharing a lot of information as required by any listed company. There will be a lot of analysts that will review our data and compare it with other listed companies. And we would love to have that type of comparisons because we are a company that are proud of our results. We have been sharing all these results when we were not listed with our shareholder. With going forward, these comparisons by the various analysts internationally with Aramco in terms of where do we what is Aramco performance when it comes to technology, when it comes to carbon intensity, when it comes to safety, when it comes to financial performance. All of these things are welcomed, and it's something that will make us very proud. It will increase our international visibility as a leading company in the globe. We are the leading company when it comes to energy. We have the highest number of reserves, very well managed reserves. We are one of the when it comes to conventional production, we are one of the highest when it comes to conventional production. We are a major player when it comes to gas. And soon we'll be also a leading players as the transaction of the acquisition of 70% of SABIC. So all of that, in terms of sharing it with the rest of the world and doing all of this analysis comparison will be a positive outcome for the company, and we're looking forward to that.
For the safety part, I'm going to talk first about the Tadawul stock exchange and then about Aramco. So there was some report released by the World Economic Forum about the shareholder governance. And it's part of the Global Competitiveness Report. And we're proudly ranked #1 among the G20 countries when it comes to the shareholder protections and rights and governance. And we are ranked #2 globally. This by itself demonstrates how the governance in the Saudi Stock Exchange, how good it is, and how we protect the rights of all shareholders. For the other part, which is the company, in addition to its governance, and the company started its governance initiatives to be in line with Tadawul corporate governance code and the best practice around the world globally. We have also the resilience of the company. And it was really demonstrated in the September 14th attacks against 18 different locations in the company. And within 2 days, we brought back production, and within 2 weeks, we got all the deliveries happened, I think, by the 27th. So it is very safe, and if you want to have a full proof to that, you see the oil prices. Oil prices went up the first 2 days by about 20%, then it came down by 10%, and all the future traders saw this as a non-event. This is we have 1/8 of the oil production in the world, and the oil traders, they saw this as a non-event, and that means it is really safe. That's what the money is saying. So the safety, I think the whole wide world, it's not only Saudi Arabia, will be looking after the safety of this region and this company.
سؤال إضافي من الصحافة المحلية.
Another question from the local press.
الزميل من صحيفة الوطن.
Our friend here from Al Watan newspaper. A good day to you all. This is a historic achievement and a new approach to deal with shares or stocks. The company used to deal in a different way with the market through its experience also. But there are some leaked information every now and then. We heard recently that the company And about the IPO, though we heard some explanations from you, however, how would Aramco be dealing with this leakage that would affect negatively the IPO? Would the company have a new entity to deal, I mean, in terms of information with this new stage in the history of this company? As for the way we deal with the media in the coming stage, we have put in place a media office that is a comprehensive one to deal with the things everything related to the IPO. As for the leaked information, we don't know where that came from, but it is better that any information about the IPO or about the company would be taken from the company itself, from the executive director. You can get answers from them. Sometimes we cannot respond to things that are still not being disclosed, like the regulations or any other regimes that we follow. However, we have put in place a methodology to deal with the media. If you want any information about the company, there is a public relations office that is responsible for dealing with everything related to the IPO, and we have also our website. On the 9th of this month, we will have the prospectus bulletin, which will include comprehensive information about all the things that you are asking about. So from now until the prospectus, which is just a few days, I believe it's better to avoid things that you see in social media. Many of these things are not true. And if you have any inquiry, we have a media office. You can ask them. You can ask them about everything, except for points related to the IPO itself. We will take a final question because the speakers are so busy and they have to attend to other business. A final question, please.
Thank you very much. Andrew England with the Financial Times. Just to follow up to an earlier question, which was kind of why now? I mean, I think what's kind of got it over the line was something happened in the last few weeks that's convinced you that now is the right time to go. Obviously, there have been a lot of questions over the valuation. So can you kind of explain why you've come to the decision now in these last couple of weeks that now is the right time? And I know you don't want to give a figure on valuation, which I understand, but will you definitely go ahead now, or will it still depend on the market response and the market appetite to the IPO? Thank you very much.
This is the intention to float. So yes, that's what we're doing right now, stating our intention to float the company. And we've been working, as many of you know, on the IPO for the past 3 years or so. And the IPO was put on hold for one simple reason: the acquisition of SABIC shares from the public investment funds for about short of $70 billion. Now, for the acquisition to happen, we had to file antitrust with 21 different jurisdictions around the world. We got 18 of them, and we still have 3 to go. But We thought that the acquisition is almost done. The integration will happen between the two companies. And we had other acquisitions of certain stakes in other companies like Reliance. So that was the reason why we want to go now. We want to share the Aramco shares with the citizens of Saudi Arabia. We want to get financial investors from all over the world. And one of the reasons that we want to do this is to be in line with the Vision 2030, and that was stated like years ago, I think in 2016 or 17. So it's part of what we need to do. The question could be, why not now? That's what I've been asking myself and asking everyone. Why not now? I think this is the right time for us, coming to a juncture where we want to take Aramco to be a public company, to have more disclosure. We have like the best operations. We have one of the best governance. We have our board. If you look at our board today, I'm the chairman. We have 5 ministers who are representing the shareholder, and we have 5 independent board members coming in from mainly the West. Actually, all of them from the West, and all of them are ex-CEOs and chairmen of oil and gas companies or some of the downstreams. And they're adding a lot of value to the value that the management, which is a great management led by Amin and his people, Khalid and the heads of the upstream and downstream. We have one of the most, actually, I think the best operations when it comes to the innovation, to the operations, and to price sensitivity. So that's why we want to go IPO, and we want to go now. Thank you very much.
معالي الأستاذ ياسر رميان شكرا جزيلا لك ومعالي
Thank you
المهندس
very
أمين
much.
الناصر.
And Engineer Amin Nasser, we thank you very much. And we thank you, all of you, for attending this press conference. Thanks a lot.
السادة الحضور وزملاء الصحفيين، نفيدكم علما بأنه بعد قليل سيكون هناك جلسة معلومات حول الطرح للأفراد، ستكون بقيادة الأستاذ سلطان موسى نائب رئيس الاستثمارات المصرفية في شركة الأهلي المالية الأهلي الكابيتال. بعد قليل نلقاكم إذن بعد ربع ساعة من الآن. شكرا لكم. Ladies and gentlemen, after the break, we have information session on the retail offer by Mr. Sultan Al Musa, the Vice President of Investment Banking, NCP Capital. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I beg your attention, please. In a couple of minutes, we will start a teaching session on the IPO details given by Mr. Sultan Musa from NCB Capital. Okay. طيب. Can you have the presentation of the screen?